me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBLanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
Show the public their tax dollars at work, basically. We want to show our field workers, our maintenance staff, and the hard work that they do day in and day out. So to be able to have that really great relationship where we both understand each other and in the end can produce something that's super high quality that honestly we were previously paying a lot of money contracting out to do. Having that kind of at your disposal is really priceless for us.
Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we spotlight the people and places driving the future of parks and recreation across the nation. Today, we're featuring the City of Scottsdale Parks and Recreation, led by Deputy Parks and Recreation Director Kevin McKee. Scottsdale isn't just maintaining parks, it's setting the standard. Nationally accredited since 1994, Scottsdale's Parks and Recreation Department is committed to providing exceptional experiences for all ages through inclusive, world-class recreation programs and events. With over 1,100 acres of open space, from the Indian Bend Wash Greenbelt to the Northern Desert Highlands, Scottsdale's award-winning parks, facilities, and fields foster a healthy, active community. But that's not all. Scottsdale is also a hub for bringing people together. The city offers a range of aquatic and pool facilities, including the Cactus Aquatic and Fitness Center and Chaparral Aquatic Center. Residents and visitors alike can enjoy outdoor activities such as biking, fishing and boating, hunting in the preserve, exploring the path and trail system, and hitting the skate parks. Scottsdale's Smart City initiative takes it even further, merging traditional infrastructure with cutting-edge technology to enhance daily life. This initiative aims to tackle community challenges, improve quality of life, and create better interactions between the city and its people. Let's dive in and hear more from Kevin McKee and Craig LeBLanc.
All right, we are live again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. This is Craig LeBLanc, your host, the doorman, coming at you every day with Leadership Series, Monday through Thursday. We have a special guest from Scottsdale, Arizona. What we were talking about pre-show is one of the sleeper states that's just coming up through the ranks, doing a lot of great things. And of course, Scottsdale is one of the largest, one of the best communities out there in Arizona. And we've got Kevin McKee with us today. How are you doing, Kevin?
I am so great. How are you doing, Craig?
Man, I'm loving this weather. I was talking to somebody in New York and they were saying it was 40 degrees. And I'm like, well, not us down in the South. What's the weather look like for y'all?
We were sweating a little bit. We had some 90-degree weather not too long ago, but we are headed for sunny and 75 degrees just in time for the Easter weekend. So we are pretty pumped about it. We got some big egg hunts going down this weekend, so we are super excited.
Oh, well, let's kick off with that. I love special events, and I think a lot of people that get into Parks and Rec don't realize how big of an effort special events are in Parks and Rec. This being one of the big holidays. So, what do y'all do for the Easter or the egg hunt or like that?
Yeah, so this was kind of this is a fairly new event, not a new concept. Obviously, everyone has their own iteration of kind of that spring celebration, but we had kind of our large civic centers. It's called Scottsdale Civic Center. It's our municipal campus where City Hall is. We've got our Center for the Arts, and then there's kind of a park area in between with some stages. It was recently completely renovated. It was a huge project that's now award-winning, and we wanted to activate that space. So one of our thoughts was, well, let's do a big kind of Easter spring-themed event, but we didn't want to do the typical spring-themed event. And Scottsdale is known as the westmost western town. So we dubbed the event Bonanza, kind of playing on the whole bunny theme. And we have a western themed oversized jackrabbit. That is our mascot. His name's Sheriff Jack. So photo op for the kids. We've got egg hunts. We encourage everyone to kind of wear their Western gear, live country music, DJ
Oh,
games,
man.
vendor booths, the whole deal. So it's a super fun morning, kind of unique, and really plays into our Western heritage out here.
And how many is this y'all's first year, second year? How long have you been doing this?
This will be our third year. So we get it. We're expecting over about 5,000 people, which is pretty good size for us, and just a fantastic excuse for families to come out, get together, really enjoy this new space, this community asset that we have, and create some memories. And we've lucked out too. We have not had any like fist fights over the egg hunts, which tend to happen a lot. So thankfully, everyone tends to play well too.
Yeah, that's the gloves are off when it comes to hunting for eggs. I've seen some little kids. It can get highly competitive. Y'all have any? So what's in the eggs? Do y'all hide anything, or is it just?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything. So we've got your typical candy, little kind of trinkets, little stuffed animals. We do stickers, little tchotchkes, and then we'll hide some giveaways too. There's something called the Crayola experience not too far away from us. So free admission to the Crayola experience, which we had a lot of folks take advantage of this last year.
Yeah. So maybe let's pull the curtain back a little bit on what it's like to prepare for an event. How do y'all get the word out? What's it like during the event? How do y'all participate? Maybe even do y'all have a booth up there for the city? And then what's the cleanup look like? Run us through the whole gambit.
Yeah, so for this type of event, this is one of our larger productions. We have a few different partners involved. Our city contracts out with our kind of our cultural council called Scottsdale Arts. So they actually manage the Civic Center facility. So we work through them to book the venue, to provide the security. We have a cocktail garden, so they man that and manage the alcohol sales. So that's kind of our first big piece. We work with about 30-ish outside vendors to have kind of a vendor presence. And it also kind of takes a little bit of a load off of us so that they can, our only stipulation is you got to provide some type of activity worth, up to like a $500 value to us. So rather than us charging any type of vendor booth space, that's kind of our trade-off there. So coordinating that, obviously a lot of paperwork goes into that. Decor, we've really worked hard over the last couple of years to create an atmosphere that really feels special, magical. We have a photo opportunity area with our Sheriff Jack or Jack Rabbit. So we kind of decorated that with all types of Western chic things. We have really cool Western looking signage everywhere, big cacti, really playing into our Western theme. And then rallying the troops, right? After, a few months of preparation, it's bringing our teams together from across the city for all hands on deck, setting up day of, setting up the day before, late, sometimes late afternoon into the evening tear down. And from a leadership perspective, I've always embraced kind of being a hands-on leader and really leading by example, getting in with those frontline staff for breakdown, tearing down canopies, some of that physical labor that I think goes a long way with kind of proving yourself to your frontline staff.
Oh, absolutely.
This is not just a directive that we're giving out to you. This is a collective goal that we're all working towards.
Right. Yeah, I love that all hands on deck culture, because this really is a place for you to kind of showcase the city, the parks. This is when I know we have a festival here in New Orleans. I used to, from Baton Rouge, we had a sugar festival, and it was the only time I got to really see the museum, because they hosted it at the museum part. And then a lot of people would say, I didn't even realize this kind of stuff was out here. So it's a great opportunity.
A really great point too. I think as recreation professionals, I feel like I always reach a point at our special events where I can just step back for a minute and really look at the direct impact that we're having when you see the families, taking that picture that, they are gonna look back at for years to come, looking at the smiles, looking at grandma and grandpa dancing, getting down on the dance floor, really is a special time for us to see directly the impact that we're making in the community.
Yeah. I wanted you to say a little bit more about that vendor strategy y'all had, because a lot of times, you're charging a couple $100s for a vendor or whatever, and that can somewhat be cost prohibitive. But, so where did that idea come from, this $500 worth of value? Tell me more about
Well, so it kind of initially came from us really trying to build the event. And I think
that.
sometimes with vendor fees, while vendor fees are a really great way to bring in revenue, there's also kind of there's an expectation with that, right? And so if you are year one, year two, still early in on trying to build out that event, that can be tough, and you don't know how many people you're gonna expect. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone with that trade-off, in that you're really not setting unrealistic expectations from the get-go. And two, when you're really activating those or asking your vendors to activate those spaces for you, it's kind of one less thing that you have to activate at the event, right? It's almost like they are doing the pre-planning and the work for you, and we're really getting the same results.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the whole thing is just to have a cool event with a lot of stuff to do. And so the more vendors, the vendors can really make an event. What are some of the values they're providing, just as some examples?
So every one of the vendors has some type of different activity. So in some cases they'll be doing like a craft, they'll be doing a special game, they'll have some type of special giveaway, they'll be providing us with raffle prizes and giveaways that we can kind of raffle off throughout the event. So also a lot of them are local. They're local to Scottsdale, and they're really just trying to have a direct connection with the community that they're serving. Not all of them are businesses either. We've had, in fact, this year we'll have some of our public schools that are trying to boost enrollment. Again, it's another way for them to get out to the community to kind of talk about what they do, connect with folks, and hopefully get their message across.
Now, how many? I missed. You had said how many people show up last year, and how many are expecting this
We
year?
had about 5,000. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a nice size event. And how many vendors did y'all get? Are y'all expecting to have this year?
We'll have about 30, and that's not including. We'll have your typical food vendors and food and beverage suppliers, things like that too.
Oh, that's good. What kind of food are they going to have out there?
I think we've got like last year we had a donut vendor. We had shaved ice, which you would think it's a morning event. You would think that the kids weren't really into that, but they were loving it. I think we had a waffle truck. Yeah, so there are a few different things.
Oh, nice. And so then how do y'all get to how do you get the word out? How long is this planning leading up to it? And when do y'all start planning for this event?
So the planning probably, it's kind of a year-round cycle, but we really start gearing up around, October, November, depending on which weekend Easter falls in. We work cross-departmentally, so we have a close collaboration with our library, so we collaborate with them, and we start to really start to put messaging out like around January. Usually it's around the first of the year, and we have gotten super creative with that. So outside of just our social media marketing, which is obviously probably one of our primary ways of getting that info out, we have taken our event mascot, Sheriff Jack, and paraded him around to different special experiences, leading up to the event. We've taken them out to the libraries for special story time, for photo ops with the kids. We've taken them out to our after school programs to play games with the kids and provide some giveaways. Scottsdale's home to the longest horse-drawn parade in the world. It's called the Parada del Sol Parade. So it's a big Western parade. It takes place in February, usually around Valentine's Day. So this past 2 years of that parade, we have brought Sheriff Jack out and his posse to hand out sheriff badge stickers promoting the event. So we've tried to get creative, but that promotion starts months in advance.
So y'all can now. How many special events do y'all run throughout the year?
We do anywhere from 8 to 10. A lot of them are those smaller kind of neighborhood or micro events, we call them, and we may only be getting 300 to 400 community members, but we're really targeting that specific neighborhood. And then we have 3 larger, what we consider signature events, which would include Bonanza, our spring event. We have an annual fall festival, which takes place right before Halloween. And we started a new event a couple of years ago called the Parks and Rec Rewind, where we take a particular decade and do a complete event kind of centered around that decade. So our first event was 80s night, and people were so into it. Everyone was decked out in their kind of 80s outfits. We had an 80s cover band. We did the same thing this past September with the 1970s. So we're looking forward to 90s night this year. So that's been a really exciting event that we've kind of kicked off these last 2 years.
I love those themed dances in the 80s. And I was an 80s kid. I say 80s. I guess I grew up, I was in high school in the 90s, but I love seeing some of my kids recycle some of these songs.
They're coming back, right?
They really are. I'm glad to see my music heritage being popular again. So maybe we take this opportunity to go into the social media side. This is something that I think y'all have done super well, and I think a lot of park systems can learn from what y'all do in social media, because I still talk to a lot of people. I think I've interviewed close to 300 people on the phone call, and this is episode 109 for us here. But I'm shocked at how many people are still not really embracing social media as a way to communicate what goes on in Parks and Rec and build that online community for their in-person community. But maybe you can kind of give us a little course on that, a history of it. Maybe when did y'all discover that? When did y'all start to embrace it? What did y'all look like before and then coming into it?
Yeah, so social media, we've seen social media as one of the best tools for us, and we've known, I think, for a while that it had the highest potential for us to really directly talk to people, not just to get the word out about programming, but to really build that goodwill. And I think we had some good examples locally in Scottsdale with our police department, our fire department, really doing some awesome things on social. But we, about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, we kind of had a centralized team that was doing a bulk of our content creation. And we went ahead and kind of took ownership of that as a Parks and Rec department. Was kind of a skeleton crew. Honestly, myself and our director, Nick, at the time, were doing a bulk of the content creation at that point. And we slowly, incrementally started setting goals for what we wanted to achieve on social media. A couple of those big, broad goals were have kind of an even distribution of the content that we were producing. So it wasn't just the same stuff or the same program areas that we were highlighting. And we knew that we had enough content to have a really wide variety. And we wanted to post some kind of content daily. So those were kind of our 2 initial goals, which we started to achieve. We formed a cross-departmental team with representatives from some of our different program areas and started meeting on a monthly basis. we lucked out because we had some new resources at our disposal. The city added a videographer and
Oh,
a
wow.
communication specialist that were really instrumental in helping us take things to the next level. So with that team, kind of on our communications team, we started planning out, okay, what content are we going to highlight throughout the month? We set a monthly schedule calendar, which we still do. And we started looking at what are things that are popular, that are trending, that kind of talk to us, and can we change our messaging to not just put our message first, but to really think about how are we going to reach people first? What's that kind of introduction? What's going to stick out to people? And then can we kind of pepper in our message behind that? So you can see the evolution if you go on to our social media pages. We're at Scottsdale Parks and Rec on Instagram, or Scottsdale Parks and Recreation on Facebook. You can kind of see that evolution if you go back throughout our history over the last year and a half. And we've had some really great success moving to mostly reels and video content, short form video content, and highlighting things that we know are that our community wants to hear. We break down kind of the data on a monthly basis, really look at, okay, what was our most popular post for the month? What got the most engagement? What are the popular times to post? There's kind of this whole other subset of things that you learn along the way. And the only way you're going to really learn how to do things is just to dive into it and start doing it.
Now, let's talk more about that videographer. And what was the other one that they
And a communication specialist that was really doing a bulk of the content creation and posting for us.
So, full-time videographer. So, what do they do? I'm assuming that you have someone with the skill set of just capturing the moments in video at all these events. And then now, and I can't tell you how often that we have a full-time videographer, actually two on staff of the Daily Parks and Rec show. And man, their skill set is night and day on how they can just, I guess they just have an eye for it. I feel like I'm capturing the same moment, but theirs just looks so much better. So maybe talk about what that added to it and why that's important to have these skill sets that are specifically tailored to this type of social media play.
Yeah. So it's one thing for us to write a narrative, right? To kind of push up to our leadership, to our city council, push it out to our residents. It's one thing to say, yeah, this event was really great and we had this many attendees, but I think it's a completely different thing to show in a very compelling way what that impact was at the event, to have this high quality, these high quality shots panning out over to a crowded event space. I mean, it just totally changes the conversation. So I think important to have someone who is not only incredibly talented, which we have had that, but also someone who understands what the vision is, right? From the get-go, when we brought this position on, we were very specific with what we were trying to achieve, and that we want to highlight the impact of our special events. We want to get you out to our larger capital projects and show the public their tax dollars at work, basically. We want to show our field workers, our maintenance staff, and the hard work that they do day in and day out. So to be able to have that really great relationship where we both understand each other and in the end can produce something that's super high quality, that honestly we were previously paying a lot of money contracting out to do. Having that kind of at your disposal is really priceless for us.
Oh, it is. I can tell you, Chris and Catalin have doing an amazing job with the Daily Parks and Rec show, editing. We can feed them our ideas and they're able to turn those ideas into usable, compelling footage. But then also I'm starting to look at it as they're creating digital assets that have a near indefinite shelf life. So let's just say you'll have a great special event like with your Easter egg hunt 2 or 3 years ago. You can still use these clips many years down the road to promote the event throughout the year. And if you haven't attended, it can kind of give you a sense for, oh, I can't believe I missed that. I want to attend it again next year. And this is what they do. So it's almost, I even call them artists. I call them our digital artists. And having someone kind of like, if you have a wedding, are you just going to give your camera to the nephew, or are you going to hire a professional to come capture the moment? So.
That is such a great point. And to that point, I mean, we are very conscious of when we're in the moment of how we are going to use what we're capturing for the next year. And in a lot of cases, you're either capturing it for after the fact, right? So you can say, hey, look at this awesome thing that we did, or leading up to the next year, having those awesome assets, or even come award season, you're kind of creating your justification or your nominations for awards. Having that high quality video content is just amazing.
All right. So now with the actual social media platform, which ones do y'all use? And then I'd like to talk about, how do y'all deal with interactions? Some cities actually leave their comment section completely turned off because they don't want to have the risk. I think attorneys are helping make this decision. They don't want to have the risk of somebody, getting in some kind of online back and forth that could maybe put a black eye on the city. So, and I don't think y'all do that. Y'all kind of embrace it, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we've even found that in some cases, you'll have other folks kind of chiming in, and things kind of start to balance out. So you might have a few negative comments, and then someone else comes in and is, kind of chiming back at them. So in some cases, it works itself out. Obviously, like any profanity or anything crazy like that, that's kind of the only time that we really step in. But we try to keep a really playful, somewhat humorous voice to our social channels. So we are mainly Instagram and Facebook are our two primary channels. We'll push some content through some of our other channels, like Nextdoor, Twitter, but primarily we're really looking at Instagram and Facebook. And it really is. You can tell a lot about the impact of the content that you're pushing out by people's reactions. We started one new series about a year ago called Bad Reviews. And it's where we have our staff read bad reviews, and we try to poke fun at it, at ourselves. Yeah. And it's got such a great reaction. We did one on the Scottsdale Civic Center. After the renovations, there were some folks that were a little upset about some of the xeriscape and calling it like kind of ugly and gray, colorless. So we created a review with our head maintenance foreman over Civic Center, reading their review and kind of panning to these super colorful green shots of the new space. So again, kind of poking fun. And the reaction was just absolutely amazing. People were really loving it and appreciated, I think, our sense of humor to really, laugh at ourselves too, because that's okay. It's okay for people to have criticisms.
Yeah. And I think it's important that you kind of lean into it. I think there's always like a yin and yang, like a dark side. There's no way to run this many people, this many events without having something that could, be off, and there's no way you're going to please everybody. But rather than just like silencing all opposition with like an iron fist, but leaning into it and knowing that that's a really natural part of all of our lives and communication.
For sure. We another great example, we had I keep bringing up Civic Center, but it's probably the best example. We built, as part of the renovations there, we built a new playground, and there was no shade over the playground. So there were some large trees that when they mature, they'll definitely provide shade. But we kept hearing on social media, we would get comment after comment. Anytime we'd highlight the space, of why didn't you add shade? What are you doing with the shade? And shade was initially part of the plan, but due to some of the cost restraints, it got cut out. So after the fact, we were able to find the funding and we installed shade. And to roll out that announcement, we took pictures, screenshots of all the comments that we got asking for
I love
shade,
it.
and did kind of a, hey, you asked for it, we delivered. So it really can, I think, also give you the pulse of where what people's priorities are and what they really want to see. So in some cases, it can be super impactful.
Yeah, and it really shows the human aspect of that. Y'all are people just doing the best y'all can with what y'all have, and that y'all are listening. Because I think it's not so much. I don't think people expect you to be flawless, but how do you respond to all of this, and not pretending like it's not a back and forth. I think it brings more of a human aspect to y'all.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what did y'all start out with as far as Facebook? Maybe when you started this, did y'all have just no Facebook or very little activity? How many members was it? And then fast forward to what it is today.
Yeah, so we've had some pretty incredible growth. Facebook was obviously kind of our first channel, and then that grew into Instagram. But when we kind of took ownership of that, a lot of what we were doing was mostly program and events based. At the time, special events was one of the areas within my management team. So I had a heavy kind of special events presence. And as we got a little more thoughtful about things, we knew that there were some priority areas that we really wanted to highlight. One being capital projects. So we had some large ticket voter approved projects that we wanted to show the progress of, show our field workers kind of in the field. And the ironic thing was the things that we knew we wanted to hammer away at with our content and really make sure that we featured on our pages. When we would analyze the results at the end of the month, those were the ones that had the highest engagement and the highest reach. So I think we had a pretty good idea and continue to have a pretty good insight into what our people want to see. But slow and steady gains, right? I think it happens one post at a time. You kind of find out what works. So something for us that has really resonated has been our Throwback Thursday series. So tying in some of our local history, going through our treasure trove of old footage, old video footage, old photos. At one point we had a local historian who put together a chronology for us, kind of our park's history. So to be able to highlight those things, really tap into the nostalgia and longtime residents' memories, or highlighting the changes that maybe newer residents, didn't know that this site formerly had a swimming pool at it, or what have you. So we've had some really big success, and sometimes it takes just one successful reel to really start adding a following behind it. So that's been working really well. But just posting and seeing what works and taking it one follower at a time, one post at a time, and hopefully building a good collection of work after.
And what are your followers up to now? Do you know those numbers?
So we on Instagram, we're super excited. We are approaching 10,000 followers.
Wow.
So we're still trying to figure out what our big announcement will be, but I think we're about 80 or so away from that right now. So if you're out there listening at Scottsdale Parks and Rec, help us reach 10,000. That'd be awesome. And then for Facebook, we're right around 14,000. So again, different audience on Facebook, but and we've had that page for longer, but we're starting to see some slow gains on that as well.
Yeah, I'll follow y'all on Instagram. I'll add the number two. Where are y'all at right now? How far are y'all away from 10,000? Couple hundred?
We have less than 100 left. So we're probably about 80 followers away from that.
Okay, well, I'll at least add 5 to it. There's 5 of us over
We
here.
appreciate it. We'll take every one of those. Yeah.
All right, Parks and Rec show. Let's light them up. Let's get them over that finish line. Maybe it'll be a good time for for this big event y'all have coming up this weekend.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so I heard you mention, this is actually one of our topics we wanted to cover today, about the history of the community. We were talking pre-show how many of these park departments are, some of the first departments. Some of these parks are super old, hundreds of years old even. I know in New Orleans, we have like almost a 200-plus-year-old park, our city park. But a lot of cities don't, highlight that as something that they are. They don't showcase it. They don't go back into the history, and y'all kind of leaned into that. So maybe give us a story behind that.
Yeah. So me personally, so I grew up in Scottsdale, so I might have a kind of a different connection with the city than some of our other folks here. But I remember we're still a fairly young city. Our Parks Department was founded in 1960. And so when you talk about the places like New Orleans or going back east to the East Coast, you have a lot of history there. And I remember as a kid thinking that we are so young, we really don't have any history. And it wasn't until I started working with our senior centers, and we'd have kind of some historical lectures and things like that, that I started to dive into the history of Scottsdale and was just absolutely fascinated by it. And so it's continued to be a passion of mine, and that tie-in, it's been a great engagement tool for us on social media. That Throwback Thursday is kind of a go-to, something that you can plug in onto your social calendar every Thursday. You kind of have a go-to, but it goes even further than that. I think nostalgia is really something that resonates with people when you go beyond just the history and you really talk about the culture and the things that were going on at that time. We were talking about kind of the music and the outfits, some of the things that we've played into for some of our special events. There's kind of this whole other realm of things that all tie into that history. From our perspective as a parks department, we kind of have a decorated history, and we haven't really told that story super well over the years. We're one of the longest nationally accredited Parks and Rec agencies in the nation. We are home to the Indian Bend Wash, which was this really historic, groundbreaking flood control project that was really voter driven. And we're at a point now where the Indian Bend Wash was completed in 1985. So we have a lot of aging infrastructure that we're now going back and rebuilding. So for us to tell that story of the significance of the Indian Bend Wash, the community's investment in that project, and how we are now continue to be the stewards of that and are kind of continuing the legacy, I think it's a super important story for us to tell. And even as we talk about like from a planning perspective, just looking at old initial site plans for a particular park area kind of tells you gives you a little context of where the community was at when the park was built, possibly what some of the changes have been when, there's an area in the park that I work in, Indian School Park, that's all concreted out. And I know I had always wondered, like, why did they do that? Why did they do that there? Come to realize that it was kind of an event venue, and they would host, they would bring out public speakers and have some, kind of community engagement events out there. So again, you don't know until you really dive into that history and learn a bit more about how your department and your park system has developed over the years.
Right. Now, tell me more about that national accreditation. When did y'all get that? What is that? What does it take to achieve that?
Yeah, so national accreditation through CAPRA, that initially rolled out in 1994. So we were one of the guinea pigs. I think there were 4 or 5 different agencies that joined us, and that basically that accreditation process kind of proves that you are, as a parks department, following the highest standards within our field. So We have some of those individual certifications, certified Parks and Rec professional, certified Parks and Rec executive. It's that same concept, but for your entire department. And it's work, I won't lie about that. There's a lot that goes into it, looking at your policies and procedures, and making sure that you're really intentionally running your department. But as we just became reaccredited for our 30th year this past year in 2024, that was a huge selling point, I think, to our community and to our elected officials of we achieved the highest of the highest standards, and we are responsible stewards of any funding that you want to give us. So
Right.
It's been a really great tool for us to, aside from all the work that went into it, to after the fact kind of take a victory lap. And for the really the next 5 years, it's kind of on a 5-year cycle. You can tout that, we're one of the longest nationally accredited Parks and Rec agencies in the country. I mean, that kind of says a lot, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
definitely worth exploring.
Yeah, that's a pretty elite group too. I could be wrong. I thought there was only around a little over 100 cities nationwide that have achieved that. I know in Louisiana there's only like 4. I think Shreveport might have just attained it, and that would be our 5th city in the whole state of Louisiana.
Yeah. I want to say there's like a couple hundred across the nation. So yeah, definitely an elite group.
And did that happen? Like, where were you during this time?
Yeah, so I've been with the department for 20 years. A big chunk of that, my first years with the city were part-time. Still kind of working through high school, college, but accreditation had always been a thing. It's really an ongoing process. So typically we've had a kind of a core accreditation team that splits up the different focus points and collectively works on that, reviews things on an annual basis. So if you're doing it right, it should be kind of an annual thing that you're working into your teams and your workflows. And the cool thing about it is it brings your staff together. It gets them possibly exposure to areas that they haven't had exposure to. And from a management leadership perspective, it gives you an opportunity to really clean some things up, right? Be a little more intentional with, okay, we're surveying folks. What are we doing with our survey results? We're having meetings, but are we really talking about what we're going to do as a result of those survey results? So using the accreditation process to really achieve what you need to achieve as a department is it's a great tool. That's why it's there, right?
And so I like how it's more of an ongoing. It's not just a one and done. We did this, and now we'll never have to look at this stuff again. So tell us about, well, I guess you kind of spoken a little bit. Is there anything else as far as the ongoing process?
What I would say is use your partners too. We've had other agencies reach out to us and say, hey, we're about to go through the process. What's your experience been? Do you have any kind of feedback for us? I think our biggest feedback is, and we've been guilty of this, is try to not be reactive. As you get into year 3, year 4, it's easy to put things off until kind of the tail end of that process. So being proactive and really working those accreditation standards into what you're doing ahead of time, and so that it's ingrained in what you're doing and not just kind of a hoop that you're jumping through for that fancy title or logo, on our website.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to spend the rest of our show going a little bit about your career, your what's your why are you choosing to this as your career path, but maybe take us back to what got you involved in Parks and Rec in the early days.
Yeah, so I like I said, I grew up in Scottsdale. I grew up just maybe a block away from Chaparral Park, so I was constantly in the park as a kid. Both my parents worked for the city of Scottsdale and other areas. And when it came time for me to get a job at 16, my parents encouraged me, hey, why don't you become a recreation leader? You're getting paid to have fun. Like, that sounds like a pretty good job, right? So I absolutely agreed. My first job with the city was as a recreation leader at the McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park. So we have a train park with kind of miniature trains. So I was driving a train and doing birthday parties for a living, which is
man, it doesn't get no better than that.
And ironically, this is a funny story. About a year and a half ago, maybe, I went through a leadership program, and I was talking to one of my peers in the group, and telling her about how long I've been with Scottsdale Parks and Rec and how I started with McCormick-Stillman Railroad Park. She's like, oh my gosh, I used to take my kids there all the time. When did you work there? I was like, 2006-ish. And she's like, wow, I did some birthday parties there. So I'm sure you're probably in some of our family photos. And sure enough, she went home and she looked at her photos from her son's birthday party, and she found a picture of me with the big parachute, getting the games going. So it's like, wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So that was a fun time. I worked out in our park system, kind of roving and doing some semi-park maintenance. I worked for our senior centers for a while in various positions, which I absolutely loved. I know if anyone has an opportunity to work at a senior center, I would highly encourage it. I know it can be a little polarizing. Some people are like, I don't know how I feel about working with seniors. It is the best thing ever, having literally hundreds of extra grandma and grandpas around. It's so fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I had one of my directors, I think it was it Steven out in California? It was literally his first job. He was 24 years old. He was handed a senior center and said, here, you're going to run this. And then it was almost like they just walked away. I mean, they did give him a little more instruction, but he said it was some of the best moments in his life, and the wisdom, and he became so much good friends with him. And then he had to deal with loss because some of them would pass away after he had built relationships with them. And he said it was some of the best memories in his life.
Yes, I totally agree. And I know, at least with my experience, we kind of got to do a little bit of everything. You're managing a facility, you're running programs. We had a kind of a robust volunteer program. We were doing special events. We had a lunch program. There was kind of a little bit of everything with it. So again, highly encourage anyone out there that's maybe has an opportunity to work with seniors, just go ahead and do it. From there, I moved over to our mayor's office. So that was super interesting, working at City Hall for a while, kind of being that first contact with constituents, most of them angry constituents, trying to resolve issues, working with different departments across the city. So I really got to understand kind of how the rest of the city works. At the time, I thought, well, maybe city management might be a career path for me. As I was in that role, one of my former supervisors was like, hey, I'm leaving my job in kind of a recreation supervisor position. What would you think about coming back? And at the time, I was like, you know what, I've got a good spot here at the mayor's office. And he was really the one that got through to me of just all the things that you touch as a recreation supervisor. Again, you're managing budgets, you're managing staff, you're managing a facility. These are things that are not just great resume builders, but they're going to set you up for success no matter where you go. Mm-hmm. So that was a big selling point for me coming back into the recreation realm. From there, I moved to a human services facility, which I was not expecting, mm-hmm. But I jumped at the opportunity. So I would encourage anyone that to get out of your comfort zone if you can. If you have opportunities to try something new, it's only going to benefit you. So I was running basically a social services CAP office. So we had emergency rental assistance. We had a job center. We had food bank, and this was November of 2019 when I joined there. And so I was there through COVID, through just massive changes and obviously massive need, which was just kind of a wild time. And then more recently, around 2022, had an opportunity to come back to our Parks and Rec department, and in a manager role, overseeing bulk of the recreation operations, kind of rebuilding some programs. And fast forward a couple of years now, I, as of this past month, am now Deputy Parks and Rec Director with Scottsdale, and overseeing all of recreation, all of aquatics, our communications, and then I'm also coordinating our Parks and Recreation Commission. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff here.
Now, is your intention to stay there for the rest of your life, or if the opportunity arises, would you take a director position, or kind of do you have any future vision here?
Yeah, so I have a special connection with Scottsdale. Growing up here, I'm raising my family here. So I think, and I'm not necessarily motivated by certain roles or pay or anything like that. But having started my career in local government at such a young age, I know that I'm going to have options, looking out 15 years, kind of early retirement, right? Having options to maybe retire early and then kind of have a second career while I still have 15 to 20 years left of employment. So definitely open to something down the road, but I've got kind of a special connection with Scottsdale, so I'll probably be here for a while.
Yeah, I love that. And that really is such a common story. We do have people that are kind of looking to become a director one day of a park system, but then at the same time, we have people that just love their city, love their community. I grew up here. I want to stay here. So where does that come from?
The loyalty, I think it comes from living in a place that's worthy of that, right? Being in a place that you love so much, I think it speaks to the place itself, right? So there are, not to get back to the history aspect, but I have to give so much respect to the people that came before me, to the leaders that came before me, to the community members that came before me that made this place what it is today. Has such a super special spot in my heart. I mean, to be able to work in the park system where I learned to play baseball, or that I had my first soccer game at, or to take my kids now to the railroad park where I went as a kid, where I had my first job with the city of Scottsdale. I mean, there's just such a special connection there that goes beyond just living here. It's those kind of experiences and core memories that I have over time that really makes it that much more special. Yeah.
Well, I guess this would be a great time to go into your why you do what you do. And of all the things that are compelling to you that keep you dedicated in your life day in and day out to this industry, which are some of the most compelling ones?
Well, first off, I think it's about community. So again, I talked a little bit about being able to directly see the impact that we're having in the community. So, but to be able to take a creative concept or an idea and turn it into a special event that now people are flocking to and bringing their families out to, and are absolutely like beaming in with excitement over, that's super special to me. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten more involved in our kind of state and national associations. So the Arizona Parks and Rec Association has been absolutely fantastic. So shout out to APRA, plug to really get connected to your state professional association,
Mhm.
I have been absolutely floored by the talent across the state of Arizona. I think as Scottsdale's been, had a great reputation for a long time, but when you're stuck in your little bubble in Scottsdale, to be able to step outside of that and see some really amazing things that are happening in other cities, and almost take it to heart, kind of not a competition, but like, oh my gosh, like they're doing some great things. Like, let's bring some of that back here. Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So I've been super impressed and motivated by what I've been seeing across the state and through NRPA. I've had the privilege of going to the last two national conferences. Even got to present at the last national conference, which was awesome. First experience for me doing that.
Yeah. What'd you present on?
So we went through a master planning process for about a 2-year process, and we actually just got approval of that master plan from our council back in December. But the concept was not your grandpa's master plan. So we tried some super creative things, really took some risks. We had some incredible partners in DWL Architects and Kimley Horn in trying some cool pop-up concepts. Really leaning into social media as a means of reaching people and getting their feedback on what they want to see. So really focused on some of the creative things that we tried throughout that master plan process that led to it being one of the most engaging master planning processes that we've ever gone through.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to do a little commercial for our YPN Friday show, and then I'd love for you to kind of give a little sales pitch to the industry, encouraging maybe young kids that are in college right now. And then also, if you are currently a young professional, we have a show dedicated to you every Friday, 12 noon Eastern. We had our second show last Friday with Destiny and Chad. Thank you all for coming on. And we've just got a great community of young professionals that are helping us organize this Friday show. So our videographers made this little promo for us. It's just our version 1. We'll improve it over time, but I thought they did a great job off of not much input. And then we'll come back and finish up with Kevin and have him maybe pitch why this industry should be your choice as a career path. Hold on one second.
The future of parks and recreation is here, and it starts with you. Welcome back to the Daily Parks and Recreation Show, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and conversations shaping the world of parks and recreation. Today, we're diving into something that's shaping the future of our industry, Young Professional Networks, or YPN. If you love your job and love the parks and recreation community and are looking to connect with the next generation of leaders, this episode is for you. YPN is where driven, passionate professionals come together to connect, grow, and make a real impact. It's not just about networking, it's about building the future of our communities. Why join YPN? Career growth and mentorship. Learn from the best in the industry. Innovative ideas and collaboration. Be part of the next big movement. Leadership development. Take charge, make decisions, and create change. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, YPN is your gateway to success. From exclusive networking opportunities to cutting-edge industry insights, this is where you build your legacy. Because the future of parks and recreation starts with you.
Parks and Rec just has a strong mentorship culture, and I know that's important if you're a young professional looking into getting anything, that you have a culture of people that are experienced helping to lift you up. And so maybe speak about that a little. How important was mentorship for you as your career path?
It was huge. I'm at the point where I think I'm now probably just starting to age out of that young professional realm. I'm 35, but I've been in really lucky to be in the right place at the right time and have the right people around that have seen my potential and have invested in me. So having a mentor that really recognizes your potential and is willing to put you in situations to to help prepare you for that next level is huge. Something that definitely I continue to try to do in my current leadership role. One of the most important things I think is making time for my employees. So not just my direct reports, but all of my indirect reports, whether it's, as simple as a bi-monthly one-on-one with them to really talk about not just the day-to-day, but what are you trying to do? Really give my perspective on, here's what I think that you can do that is going to stand out, that is going to make a real impact with our organization. And yes, it's really great to be good at what you do, but it's even more important to have an amazing attitude, to get along with the people that you're working with, and to take some risks from time to time. Let's not do just the same thing that we've always done, but let's think about what could be super impactful that maybe we're not doing right now. So I try to have those conversations on a regular basis with our young professionals, and really seek that out when we're hiring for our kind of next generation of supervisors. Really asking the question, can they take my job in a couple of years? Because that's really what succession planning is all about. I've been really, really lucky to have some great mentors, one of which is now our senior director, but I've been able to follow him a few times throughout my career path. And to have, it's important to take advantage of that. I think as an employee, if you have someone who really is a mentor, who's investing in you, who you can work under, take advantage of that, right? Ask them questions, work directly with them, and try to pursue opportunities that get you that connection with them, because it does go a long way and can open up some doors for you.
Yeah, and I think that's something unique to this industry, is that this is not something that's going out of business. This is a forever agency, a forever institution. It's very different from a lot of companies that can go bust. So you really do have to think long term about training your replacement. Otherwise, you can leave the city or the department in a bind if you take all that 30 years of wisdom with you. And so I like how the culture of Parks and Rec is to pass on wisdom to everybody beneath them. And I think that's one of the things that makes this industry great.
Yes, absolutely. And I would encourage those young professionals, get involved with your associations, get involved with your fellow professionals, get out, network, connect. It is so important. Invest in your own professional development, any professional development opportunities you can take advantage of. Maybe it's going to a local conference, maybe it's a webinar or training, maybe it's pursuing certification. Try to jump at those things, because the higher that you move up within an organization, the less time you have to devote to your own professional development. So take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, and I was noticing you had the CPRE, which is an elite group. I think there's a little over 1,000 nationwide people that have received that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just received that about a month and a half ago. So
what number were you?
What's that?
I think they assign you a number. I don't know if you look on your.
Oh, I know that I'm one of less than 25 in Arizona. So
yeah.
So that's awesome. But yeah, it's an elite group. But I think from my perspective, I was kind of late into getting certified. I became a CPRP 2 or 3 years ago. And I found it honestly super beneficial to be coming into it kind of late, to have some experience under my belt, because as I'm reading through all the material, I could relate to just about everything that was covered in that certification process. So yeah, highly encourage people to pursue certification.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the show today, sharing your story and pulling the curtain back on social media and the history of your community and all the special events y'all got. It's been a great show.
Thanks for having me, Craig, and thanks for all the work that you're doing to highlight our field and the amazing professionals that are out there. So
yeah, it's been a blast. I absolutely love it, and so does the team. So appreciate all that y'all are doing. And y'all have a great festival. And let's try to get Kevin and his team in Scottsdale over that 10,000 mark on Instagram. Go follow their page. We'll get you over the finish line. Yep. All right. Take care, Kevin.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Bye. All right. So that was Kevin McKee over in Scottsdale, Arizona. What a great guy. What a great park system. I love those stories. And I'm so glad that he highlighted, and I probably don't highlight this enough. There are a lot of people like Kevin that are so content at their hometown, investing in their community, and just, want to keep doing it. And that is such a common um that is such a common theme I see in Parks and Recreation, that people like to invest in the town they grew up in, and they that's where their heart is. And so I think that's what makes a lot of our Parks and Rec communities great, is you've got locals that have just been here, love bringing their kids on playgrounds that they grew up on and investing in their community. And I think that's why we have such a great industry here. So appreciate your work and all your efforts, Kevin. Thank you for being a great leader that we can follow. Okay, so YPN, tomorrow we have a great show for y'all. We had our first week of Parks and Rec facilities maintenance. We have our first guest coming on Monday. We have a great group of organizers helping us with organizing the YPN community. We're going to do a show every week on Fridays, 52 shows a year, and we are going to schedule an in-person event. Hopefully we can pull that off this year. If not, we'll get all the planning done, where a small group of 50 young professionals are either going to meet up in New Orleans or San Francisco, and I'm going to help plan it and be a part of it. So I'm excited about that, plus our weekly show. And then our leadership series, which is what we just did with Kevin, is really coming into its own. God, it's such great stories to tell, and such great careers and park systems to highlight. And I'm kind of sad that we only get to do this 4 times a week, 52 times a year, because it's just not enough. I mean, there are literally thousands and thousands of great park systems that we could highlight. So I appreciate the ones that we do get. I love their stories. And thank you for sharing that wisdom and all the hard work that y'all are doing. And I think I might have my first guest for the Financial Fridays. And this is where we'll be discussed. Now, we haven't launched this yet, so give me till the end of the month, early next month, before we launch that Friday show. That's going to be a Friday, 10:45 a.m., talking about financial sustainability, talking about deferred maintenance, talking about, staying out of bankruptcy, cost recovery, all those fun, popular accounting, financial topics that we all love to avoid. We're going to lean into it on Fridays before the YPN show. Hadn't launched it yet, but we're still working in the background to get that going. Facilities maintenance. God, we've got so many great topics to cover. It's almost like, you got to just pick a few and go with it. I'm going to lean towards more of the robotics and technology side, because I love that part. Just, it's a personal passion of mine. And we've got a lot of great vendors that are coming in with some awesome tech that can really do a lot of great work efficiently in our park systems, from field maintenance to spraying to little robots identifying weeds in a quadcopter and spraying an exact amount of weed killer on that one weed. And so I can just see a great future where we can actually put a lot more manpower in forward-facing interaction with people, because a lot of this other stuff is being autonomously done. So I think that's going to be a great future. Can't wait to highlight that. Plus, all these master craftsmen that have spent decades mastering their trade, and we want to bring them on, highlight their career, and help share best practices that they learned over, many decades of working in the park system. So got a lot of great stuff planned for the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Appreciate all the support that we're getting from the community, and appreciate our sponsors that are coming up to help us expand the work we're doing, hopefully expand the programming out a little bit more. So love what we're doing. Love you guys. Thank you all so much for this opportunity to serve this community. And we'll see y'all tomorrow with the YPN show, 12 noon Eastern. Don't miss it. See you guys. Bye.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.